Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. All right, so this video is really just for fun. So I did the video the other day on survival rations, and I had my daughter over today, and we tried out some of these foods that I've got for storage. And why are you going to have foods for storage and you're not going to try them out before you actually have to use them? Oh yeah, and by the way, the facial hair is gone. I just couldn't tolerate it. Way too itchy for me. I'm certainly glad that I'm not a member of a religion that mandates a beard, because I would wind up clawing my face off. Anyway, so we tried out several things. Yellow cheddar powder and white cheddar powder. I'm not going to give the names out here because I'm not advertising for any particular brand, but this is one of the most popular brands available. Let's see, we also tried out powdered butter, powdered tomatoes, and dehydrated hash browns. The sauces, we made pasta, shells. So, all right, first off, the cheese powders. So the first thing with both cheese powders that surprised me was that I expected them to thicken up when I added water and put them on the heat, which they didn't, which spurred me to just add more powder. And that wound up being a mistake, because it didn't taste bad, but it was really strong and really salty for both of the cheese powders. So after we tried them the first time, what I did was just mix them together and then add a thickener. And in this case, I used arrowroot and more water to thin this down, and that made it a lot better. The first time we tried it, it just had so much salt. I was like, oh wow, this is gonna just mummify me on the spot. But it had a very strong cheese flavor. The cheese powder is actually pretty good. You could put this on popcorn and make your own cheese popcorn, and it would only take a very small amount. I was very happy in the long run with how little it actually takes to get this if you make it into a cheese sauce with a thickener, because it takes very little. So 1 pound of this cheese powder will go a very long way. By the comparison between the yellow and the white, we discussed which one we felt tasted best, of course. For both of us, we felt the yellow cheese cheddar had a better flavor. She remarked, well, maybe it's just because of the color and it's in my head. And I explained to her, well, yellow cheese really doesn't exist. If you go to Europe, you're not going to find yellow cheese. Yellow cheese is because of coloring that is added to the cheese. So the white is a natural color, and the yellow has additional coloring added. But the yellow actually did have a better flavor. The white did taste good. It was a little bit salty to me, even after I thinned it down a bit, but it still tastes good. Anyway, I made way too much pasta. I'm going to be eating mac and cheese for a long time. She actually did like it. It came out with a flavor that is very similar to as if you made it with, like Velveeta. But, this is not processed cheese food. This is actual cheese that is dehydrated. All right. Moving on to the tomatoes. Powdered tomatoes. I made a thin sauce with this, as I would with spaghetti sauce, but it does not constitute to being thick. Again, you would have to add a thickener, and use more volume, more water. It had a very strong tomato flavor, a little bit sweet. The next time I make it, I would thin it down more. The odd thing was that it came out with a dark, purplish red color that it really looked like, old blood, which spurred us having a discussion about whether this would make a really good, artificial blood for Halloween. And yeah, it absolutely would. Anyway, it tasted good, but you're going to, if you use it, it's going to be like a tomato, a gravy or a type thing, food, a sauce with a thickener, again, like arrowroot or cornstarch or what have you. But it's very much worth trying. Powdered butter. This kind of disappointed me. It has a very good butter flavor. Again, you could put this on popcorn to give it a strong butter flavor without adding moisture. So it would be really good in that respect. What I might try doing in the future is, I've still got some sitting in the kitchen, so I might do it tomorrow. But, I added water, I tried heating it up, and mixing it up, and it never got any kind of butter texture to it. So what I may try doing with that is adding maybe some, I just lost it, guar gum, and then mixing it with a mixer and see how that comes out, if it attains any kind of butter texture. It would be very good for cooking. It was good with rice. I love buttered rice, and it works well for that. And, you could make a lot of things with this. Dehydrated hash browns. Now, some people will say, oh, well, that sounds gross. Let me assure you that most a lot of breakfast restaurants, especially those with high volume. Use the dehydrated hash browns. They don't require a massive amount of freezer space. Many years ago, I worked in restaurants that had frozen hash browns, and they took up a huge amount of space, and they're very heavy to move, to handle. Um, you know, whether you get frozen hash browns or dehydrated hash browns, they're going to have some kind of preservative and bleaching agent to keep them from turning brown or black on you. So there's nothing wrong with dehydrated hash browns. They will keep on the shelf for years. I've previously had a box of dehydrated hash browns that stayed on the shelf for a very long time, and by the time I used them, they never tasted stale. And good texture. This was a popular brand. Good flavor, good texture. They cooked up just great, and both of us love them. What else? All right, so obviously I cooked rice, just regular white rice, and I did not include any protein in any of this. I asked my daughter if she wanted some pork roast or ham that I had on hand. But overall, everything that we had today required no refrigeration. So that was a large part of the challenge. Like I said, this was for fun. I mean, I spent years in restaurants, certified chef. So this is just, I've done canning in the past, and this was really just another form of cooking to me. You do dehydrating, you do crockery cooking or rotisserie or whatever. They're all just different forms of cooking. So this was just another form of cooking to me and trying different recipes out. Overall, I've got to say that all these things are very good things to have on hand, especially if you live in an area that has an unstable electrical grid, or, could have an unstable electrical grid. Millions of people in Texas were caught off guard earlier this year. If you got the resources, the space to store even a few days or weeks worth of these certain items, you really should. Of course, there are the different survival things that are advertised online a lot. But for me, first of all, I have to be very careful because of my ulcerative colitis. I have to be very careful about the ingredients that are included in foods. Like, I'm allergic to eggs. If they have egg noodles, I might be able to eat it, but I'm going to suffer afterward. So I'm going to get the ingredients, the raw ingredients, which also offer a lot more flexibility. When you buy these packets that are all, soup mixes and things like this, then you're locked into what is in that package. Whereas if you get the individual ingredients, it takes up more space and so forth. But you got more flexibility, so you can have a more diverse menu. I could easily add dehydrated vegetables, which I am lacking so far. So you can add vegetables, you can add a protein, canned, dehydrated, whatever. But good things to have for survival stores are, rice, flour, pasta, some of the additional things you can have: bouillon, canned meats, powdered cheese, powdered butter, powdered tomatoes, you know, and I really advise things like, onion flakes, garlic powder. You can even buy canned bread, which will store for a considerable period of time. But at the same time, you can have the flour, baking powder, yeast. While yeast is usually refrigerated, you can get dry yeast, or which will store for a very long time without refrigeration. It will store for years. Just check your expiration date, because it does become less effective over time. Having the powdered butter is a benefit, because if your refrigeration goes out, you don't know how long your butter or margarine is going to last. Margarine is almost, nuclear war proof, zombie apocalypse, because it's not actually butter, but don't take chances on it, because it will grow mold. Just play around and, consider what your options are. But a lot of these dry foods will keep for years, especially if you keep them in sealed containers. Cereal, oh yeah, and potato flakes. Mashed potato flakes is excellent. Dressing, boxed dressing, stuffing is also a good choice. These things will all keep for years if you keep them in sealed containers. If you toss in a couple of oxygen absorbers, then they will keep much longer, keep them from oxidizing. But a lot of things just don't need them, that I have mentioned. So these are things that you can store, play around with. Make sure they're things that you actually eat, because even if the supply chain is fully restored, well, at some point in the future, things become more stable than they are right now. Well, that just means that you can use those stores and maybe rotate them out and buy new stores. But even if you don't, it will save you money on your grocery bill at some point. If you eat rice, potatoes, hash browns, pasta, these are good things to have. Anyway, so we had fun. She enjoyed it. She ate several plates of the macaroni and cheese and 2 plates of hash browns. And I'm going to have leftovers for dinner and for several days to take to work. And not unhappy about that. I prefer cooking and taking my own meals to work as opposed to eating fast food for several days, which I did this past week, and it just tore me up. It's like, even if fast food is staying roughly the same price, which I've already demonstrated in another video, that it's not staying the same price. It is going up. But the quality of the food you're getting is declining. The fast food you're getting now is worse than the fast food you were getting 2 years ago. And definitely unhealthier. I can taste the difference between the food that I'm getting now and the food I was getting at fast food places 2 years ago. I'm not going to say that about all all food chains, but to some of the more popular ones, the quality is declining. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, you don't have to share this one, but if you can, please donate $1 a month and to help expand the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.